Hi everybody, this is Joe Contrera and welcome to the Alive at Work Leadership video blog. This week I'm excited to be sharing with you content from my new book, which will be coming up in the beginning of next year. Excited about that. The title of the book is Extraordinary, Your Ultimate Guide for Living Your Extraordinary Life. We're going to start a three-part series this week on the topic of change. There's actually, I see, three levels of change. The first one is what I refer to as the push. So let's start in the beginning, as if like the beginning of your life, somewhere around day 21 or 22, when a vein that had been folding over inside of you turned into a heart and you were given a heartbeat. So for the previous 21 days, this process was unfolding as a vein was folding and the life source was pushing it forward. Now, the important thing to remember here is that this change was happening and you didn't have to do anything. It's unconscious change. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to change anything. You just simply had to be, as if a life force was pushing energy, pushing life forward towards its next level of development, which means that change was taking place and is taking place whether we want it to or not. The decision we have to make is whether we're going to fear it, fight it, accept it, ignore it, or embrace it. What I think is so interesting is that with this type of change, this push, it never stops. And while the direction may seem to shift from an expansion to a contraction over the course of our life, this push never stops. The life force never stops. Even though people have tried to stop it, they've tried to stop the aging process, they've tried to stop it from moving forward. Now, you can slow it down, and sometimes the choices we make can accelerate that change or can decelerate the change as to whether we make good decisions about our health and things like that. But you can't stop the natural flow of life. Someone once said that nothing in life is static, that we're either moving forwards or we're moving backwards. There are some folks who think that they can just be static, meaning not change, or what some people may refer to as coasting. And while it may be true, it probably means, if you're coasting, one of two things. And I think author Joan Welsh said it best when she said, if you're coasting, it means you are either losing momentum or you are probably going downhill. Now, this isn't new thinking. The Greek philosopher 2,500 years ago by the name of Heraclitus said the same thing when he said, everything changes and nothing stands still, which is another way of saying life doesn't wait for us. We can't just press the pause button on life and expect for it to wait for us to catch up, which means this process, this whole idea of life unfolding should be a cause for us to embrace change. But as you know, most people do not like change. When I think about this, when I think about putting this in the context of an image, from a perspective of how I see life, I think about it almost like the picture window of life. You know, when we started off, before we were born, we were in a very small, tightly confined one-bedroom apartment where we just sat there and all our needs were being met. Then we were born, we experienced life, we grew, we expanded, And then we ended up at the end of our lives in a small one-bedroom apartment or room where we needed our needs to be met by someone other than ourself. But all throughout this life, this energy is pushing us towards a next place, a next level, if we dare to embrace it. And this life force, this type of change, this push is the thread that weaves itself throughout our lives, throughout all the other levels of change. Those being pain and purpose, or what I refer to as pulling us towards our purpose, which is a key component if you want to live an extraordinary life. So here's 3 questions that maybe you might want to think about. Question number 1, are you awake and aware of this pushing process? And if so, how are you thinking about it? How are you handling it? What are you making it mean? Are you fearing it? Are you fighting it? Are you ignoring it? Are you simply just accepting it? Or are you fully embracing it? Question number 3 is, are you leveraging it to help take you to the next step, the next level of living your extraordinary life? Join us next week when we go to part 2 and discuss the second level of change, which is what I refer to as the pain. Lots of stuff to think about. And until next time, please be safe and be well.